Minari director Lee Isaac Chung, my friends back in Arkansas are the audience I wanted to connect with. The filmmaker on how his rural childhood inspired the Golden Globe winning Minari, now a strong contender for the Academy Award. Water celery, or Japanese parsley, is a herb used in various Asian cuisines. In Korea, it's known as Minari. It's the type of plant you put into food to provide a little bit more of a kick, says Korean-American filmmaker Lee Isaac Chung. Chung didn't like it himself as a child, but his grandmother planted it on the Arkansas farm where the director grew up. And Minari is now the title of his new feature, a fictionalized evocation of his childhood. The herb is known for flourishing where other plants struggle, making Minari a suitable name for a story about the fight to put down roots, as Chung's family did when they arrived in Arkansas in the 1980s. Seen through the eyes of a 7-year-old child, David Yi, Minari is a lyrical, often droll story about family ties, cultural identity, and the problems kids might have with a grandmother they love, who can be weird and embarrassing too. Minari won the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award in Sundance last year, and last week won Best Foreign Language Film at the Golden Globes, with Oscar hopes ahead. As autobiography, Minari is a mixture of things that did and didn't happen, says the 42-year-old filmmaker over the phone. But throughout, its recollections of the family farm are deeply charged with personal meaning. When we arrived, it was a field with very tall grass. I still remember how tall that grass was to me as a boy, and how we would see snakes slithering into it as we went walking. Jacob and Monica, the parents in the film, sex chickens for a living, as Chung's own parents did. He researched chicken sexing for Minari and discovered that it demands practice and insight. The genitals are very hard to decipher, and you only learn from intuition. Jacob, played by Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead, an acclaimed Korean art house hit Burning, wants to cultivate an unpromising plot of land to grow produce for the Korean-American market. Chung's own parents, who came to the US at a high point of Korean immigration, had moved around the US from Colorado to Atlanta to Arkansas, arriving at their farm when Chung was 5. They were then joined by Chung's grandmother, who came from Korea, to look after him and his older sister. In the film, the children are at first baffled by her, which is exactly how Chung remembers it. The way that she would behave. He says with a fond laugh, "We were used to the stereotypical idea of a grandmother on television, and she was not like that at all. Plus, she was very young. She must have been in her early 50s. We thought she didn't even look like a grandmother. She looked like a young woman who would curse and want to teach us how to gamble." Sunja, the grandmother in Minari, is cast 2 decades older than she really was, and is played fizzingly by Yoon Yoo-jung, a revered doyen of South Korean cinema and TV. "I really loved the spirit that she embodies," says Chung. "She has that reputation in Korea of someone who always speaks her mind, and because of that, she's given a lot of respect and admiration. She seems to remain true to who she is, and she's a tremendous actor. Minari pulls off a rare feat in getting its 5 leads of different ages to feel genuinely like a close-knit family unit. Tenderness, tensions and all. Chung has 2 terrific young actors in Alan S. Kim as David and Noah Cho as his older sister, Anne. His trick for directing children? I guess I don't try to become their best friend. Then there's the 6th unofficial family member. He's played by the esteemed screen actor Will Patton, who contributes a gleefully unrestrained performance as farm worker Paul, an impassioned Christian who speaks in tongues and drags a massive cross along the road on Sunday. This must be invention, surely. Not at all, says Chung. That comes from a real person in our lives. I wasn't sure if that was just an Arkansas thing, but I've heard other people from very rural places say they knew a guy who did that too. I took him as an artist in that community, and this is the way he's found to express his art. Now based in Pasadena, California, Chung majored in ecology at Yale, then went to Utah to study film. In 2007, he made his first feature, Munyurangabo, in Rwanda, in the Kinyarwanda language. While the film played to acclaim in Cannes in 2007, Chung's next 2 films, Lucky Life and Abigail Harm, were little seen. These days I love watching Billy Wilder. I'm not saying the art house stuff is self-serious, but I needed to get out of my head a little bit and not treat films so seriously. Chung nearly gave up directing after those films, but Minari emerged from a reassessment of what mattered to him about cinema. I think of my friends back home in Arkansas and all the films we watched together, and I guess that's more the audience that I deeply wanted to connect with. While Minari is about immigrants arriving in an unfamiliar world, the film shows a light touch in its treatment of racial and cultural difference. The Yi children face what we would now call microaggressions from local kids, but these are presented as essentially benign in their cluelessness. This is true to his experience, Chung says. I grew up feeling like the main obstacles that we were trying to overcome had more to do with how we survived together as a family and less to do with external relationships that we had with the community. Racism did exist, and I've experienced some horrific incidents, but when I think about those days, it's more about farming and the difficulties of trying to love each other. Minari is a film in an eminently American tradition, a drama about taming the soil, like so many Westerns. So there has been some controversy that its Golden Globes category was not Best Film, but Best Foreign Language Film. A year after the Korean smash Parasite triumphed at the Oscars, this seems all the stranger. There's no easy answer, Chung says diplomatically when we talk about the film before his win. A lot of times we have these categories that maybe don't fit the reality of human experience and human identity. I'm completely sympathetic to what a lot of people in my community are saying, that often as Asian Americans, we're made to feel more foreign than we internally feel ourselves. Now signed up to direct a live-action remake of the Japanese anime film Your Name, Chung is part of a new generation of Asian and Asian American directors, making serious impact in the US mainstream. I feel encouraged by it, he says. It's not just Asian, but Black and Middle Eastern filmmakers. And as long as we see more and more, and that really helps us understand this country better and humanity better. I hope Minari adds to that.